September 17th, 1972, MASH debuted. 11 years, 251 episodes, and 14 Emmys later, the program ended. But MASH still ranks as one of the all-time most popular TV shows. The show takes place during the Korean War, a war most Americans opted to forget. But Hawkeye Pierce and his colleagues at the 407 7th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital made us remember that war.
Here you go, General. We're all out of lollipops. You can use these to swat tanks.
Anything, as long as they get me out of this loony bin.
Well, do you see anything good coming out of this?
Not a damn thing.
Corporal Max Klinger, Section 8.
You gotta understand, I'm not working on sick people here. I'm working on hurt young people with essentially healthy bodies that have been insulted by ammunition.
Mike Farrell played the role of Captain B.J. Honeycutt.
The American consciousness about the war with which we were dealing was as much focused on Vietnam as it was on Korea, and Vietnam, of course, is another war we didn't win. Gene Reynolds called MASH the perfect existential situation. But the show had a premise that indicated that people were valuable.
Try to find a place to turn around!
If Vietnam made the American public receptive to the ideas in MASH, then Korea provided the appropriate backdrop. The Korean War was a bloody war. Almost as many Americans died in just 3 years in Korea as in the entire 10 years in Vietnam. It was the first war when American forces squared off against communist forces, and it was the first war the U.S. did not win. The story of the MASH doctors and nurses is real, based on a book by Richard Hooker, a doctor who was in the MASH experience.
Korea is where MASH was invented, and it was as a result of the problems that had developed in the Second World War and of getting medical attention to wounded personnel immediately.
MASH units were set up right behind the front lines. Doctors here labored under the crudest of conditions, but they were successful. 90% of the soldiers brought to MASH units lived.
That little longing for you follows wherever I go. In the roaring traffics. In the roaring traffics. In the silence of my
Not everyone was a fan.
While the American audience were enjoying that TV series program almost every week, the Korean peoples were crying.
Kim Jong-chil headed Korea's Board of Tourism when MASH was on the air. It was Kim's job to promote the story of Korea's rebirth, of her economic boom. What he discovered, however, is people's image of Korea came from the glimpses they saw on MASH. Kim even asked the producers to take the show off the air.
The program was inaccurate and the killer of Korea as Korean culture and tourism in general. The MASH program is staged and located in San Bernardino, California, rather than Korea. The Korea has been changed a lot since the last 35, 40 years.
With the Olympics, Korea is in the limelight again, and the world will get their update on Korea post-war. But it was through the doctors and nurses of the 407 7th MASH that a whole generation was first introduced to this country. These people, and perhaps made to care about them.